if I do that, then if I don't, then I have to kill the whole thing and start a new link. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? So I accidentally hit the live button as I was setting this up. So we're starting early. We're actually early for once.
Hey, you know what? Gather some questions.
Yeah. So we're doing a question and answer today. First weekend of the month. That's what we do. If you have any, let me turn this off. Hold on. Yes. What's up, Juliana? If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments. It was been one of those weeks. I did not get a chance. I don't think neither of us really thought about, hey, let's ask for questions from our groups or anything like that ahead of time. So we don't have any of that. So we're hoping that you guys have some questions to ask us live, and then we will get into that stuff on here. I do have one topic that I want to talk about that I saw asked in a group that's actually more for practitioners and clinicians and doctors and stuff like that. They were asking about carb cycling and things like that. So we'll get into that a little bit. And I think, Nat, did you say you had one question? What's my favorite color? Yeah, let's see if she knows. Close. That'd be my second favorite color. Yep. Yep, she knows. My favorite color is all the colors. Black. Actually, did you know this? Fun fact. Okay, we're going to get a little esoteric information you didn't need to know. Okay? Black in the color palette is the combination of all colors. But black in the light spectrum is the absence of all colors. Did you know that? And white is the opposite. On the color palette, white is the absence of color, but in the light spectrum, white is the compilation of all colors. Now you know. There's your information for the day. So white and black, check this out, white and black are the same thing. Both of them are the absence and the completeness of all colors. Didn't think you'd learn something new today, did you? Or maybe you did. That's why you're tuning in to us, because you know you learn something new every time. Every time you talk with us, you know you're going to learn something new. Let me just get this over here so she has room on her side. Yeah, guys, sorry about being live and not having anything really to talk about yet. I can tell you what's going on with me. I'm working on a couple papers. I have one paper I'm working on that is what I'm going to be doing is kind of trying to define what keto adaptation is at a biological level. So what are all of the things that actually change? You guys have heard me talk before about my phases of adaptation, right? Fat adapted, keto optimized. It's in my book, Body Confident. There's a version of it that's in my previous book, Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness. The Body Confident version is a little bit more mature, but it's still a concept that is maturing and getting more granular or more detailed and specific as I learn more information and figure more things out and make more connections. But the process of adaptation in science, there have been some studies where using just ketosis, they've determined that it takes anywhere from 4 to 6 days to adapt, and 4 to 6 days is the minimum amount of time required in order to accurately test and evaluate a ketogenic diet. That's not true. I don't think that's true at all. There was a test that was done by Prinz, Kutnik, and Noakes a couple months ago where they determined that a minimum of 4 weeks is required to accurately test a ketogenic diet. the thing about that is they don't account for the fact that the people that they were testing in there were already highly trained endurance athletes. So their mechanisms for fat oxidation, fat utilization, oxygen capacity, all of those things were already advanced beyond a normal person, or even beyond a different type of athlete. So if you take an endurance athlete and you take a power lifter, their ability, the powerlifter's ability to adapt to a ketogenic diet and adapt, and all those metabolic factors of adaptation are going to take a lot longer. So in my experience, it's 6, 8, 12 weeks. 8 to 12 weeks is kind of the average somewhere. If someone's in good shape, they can probably adapt a little bit faster. For someone that's out of shape, it's going to take them a little bit longer. But that's one of the papers. Try to break that down, explain how all that works. There's another paper that I'm working on. This is kind of an unofficial, Dr. Cucuzella, Mark Cucuzella, has been gathering a bunch of information from stuff he's been doing, and I've been helping him with some data analysis and things like that. So he had mentioned that he wanted to get it published as a clinical trial or a case study. I don't know if he's actually going to do it, but we've been working on getting all of the data together, getting everything analyzed, trying to come up with the significance of the things that he's seeing in his clinical work, stuff like that. And then the third paper that I'm working on, and that's specifically for using ketogenic interventions with minimal input from the practitioner, right? Just giving brochures, giving information, just what is the impact of just educating people and helping in the improvement of diabetes symptoms. So what are the aspects of obesity, insulin resistance, and diabetes that get better purely from educating people? And it's actually pretty fantastic, some of the stuff that we're finding. The third one is, what's the third thing I'm working on, babe?
Oh my gosh.
The third paper? The metabolic efficiency one. So I'm working with Peter Cummings of Plan to Peak. He's a fellow MHP member in the SMHP, and we actually collaborated. I helped with one of the courses that he put together for Nutrition Network a few months ago. We're working on a paper that is going to kind of break down one of the flaws in a major aspect of performance evaluation in endurance sports. So there's something called movement economy or running economy that is used as a measurement formula to determine how efficient a athlete is in spending energy, right? How much energy is utilized to get how much work is being done. Unfortunately, that formula is based on oxygen consumption. Now, that's awesome, right? Because oxygen is a major substrate that's used when we burn fat. The problem is in ketogenic athletes, oxygen consumption goes up because fat oxidation goes up. Because we're using more fat, right? We don't have as much carbs. We don't need the carbs. We're using fat for our fuel. The problem with that change is it's a metabolic shift. It's a metabolic adaptation that changes the energetics, the bioenergetics of how our body works, which means that formula for keto adapted or fat adapted athletes is not applicable. But it is being used by people who don't understand that shift as a way to justify their claims that keto is bad for performance. Because in that equation, high oxygen consumption is bad. The more oxygen you're using, it means the more energy you're using to do the same amount of work, except that we're replacing carbs and they don't account for that. So we're working on a paper to kind of describe what that looks like and maybe even propose a different formula on how we can evaluate movement efficiency and energy efficiency in keto adapted athletes. So those are the three things I'm working on. Minus, babe, check this out.
Oh gosh.
I'm only 2 and a half classes away from finishing my master's.
How in the world? Y'all don't even understand this.
Yay!
The speed.
Be done, almost done.
Time that he is on, time just moves faster for this guy.
It moves fast. It seems like it moves slow. What are you talking about?
Yeah, for him it feels slow.
It's slow.
For the rest of us, it's like, yesterday you said you were going to get your master's and now you're almost done. And you're talking about your PhD and then boom, it's going to be like your PhD.
Well, okay. Oh, should we tell them about my other thing?
Wait, I have to pause. So
Because you're not even live yet.
So you have to pose.
Okay, hold on. We have to pause. No, you have a cover photo.
No, I'm not using that.
Oh,
We're just doing our regular live today.
okay. Just FYI, you've never seen one of these cover photos on her Instagram with me in a serious face.
Never.
Never.
He can't.
And you never will.
It's impossible.
You never will.
And
Hold on.
every single time you have an
I have an
eyelash.
eyelash. Hold on.
Okay, got it.
Boop.
Okay.
Okay. There you go.
Wow. Always something,
Do I look like an old man or
always
what?
something new, babe. Y'all don't have to check out the Instagram to see the final photo of that. All right.
Grandpa Bronson. I am, so I guess it fits. Call me
All
Pops.
right. We have to start fresh on Instagram now. 3, 2.
All right, so hopefully that.
We are live.
Now
on
we're live on
Instagram.
Instagram. All right.
So if you're joining on Instagram, we have already been live for, wow, is that
12 minutes.
12 minutes?
Yes, that's how long it took you.
Bronson started early
By accident.
by accident.
I was setting my phone up. I should have set my phone up and then hit go to the YouTube thing, but it was on YouTube. It was in the menu. I was moving my phone around and my thumb was like, bloop.
Oops. So he would have had to reset everything if he
Right.
stopped
Since
that
the links
live.
are already
So-
out and everything, I'm not
So if y'all want to catch the first 12 minutes, you can go check it out on his
It's just
YouTube.
me. It's just me rambling.
Him rambling about things he's up to, science and whatnot.
Science and whatnot.
And today we are doing a live Q&A. This is our monthly Ask Us Anything.
Ask us anything.
So-
Hopefully you guys have questions.
Yes, because we did not plan for this in advance. We thought about it last night and this morning, like, oh, we don't have a topic. We don't know what we're going to talk about. Oh, wait, we're supposed to be doing a monthly live Q&A, but we didn't announce it in advance. So,
Oops.
so drop your questions live on Instagram or YouTube in the comments, and we will answer your questions live today.
And Juliana asked what my favorite color was.
And Bronson
black.
said black, all the colors.
You guessed blue first. That's probably my second.
Dark blue is what I was
Dark blue,
thinking,
yeah.
yes.
I'm a very not colorful person.
When I buy him things, I buy blue
Blue or black
or black.
or gray. I have a lot
That's
of
true.
some dark gray
Look at
too.
you.
Yeah.
You're nothing if
I
not
don't know, is
consistent.
that a dude thing or?
I mean, y'all
Because
have-
I could literally wear jeans and a black shirt or
Every
a gray
day.
shirt every day and
yeah.
be fine.
Well, all neutrals, they go with everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just lazy man's.
You have some nice light blue
For
Lulus,
work,
light
it's a whole
gray,
other thing.
different
Work is different.
shades.
Maybe if we did more social things, I'd
Probably.
do more.
You know, I was looking in my closet this morning and I was like, oh my God, there's stuff in here
You
I
haven't
haven't
even-
worn in years.
Because we don't get out. We don't have
Because
any
I used to
friends.
wear things to the office and I don't go to an office anymore.
Oh, I do have a question. And I haven't asked you this yet. I was thinking I was going to ask you this, but I figured I'll ask you and everybody else at the same time.
Okay.
How the hell am I supposed to store all these sweaters? Because I can't put them on hangers because then they'll get the little shoulder nipples.
Y'all,
And then
shoulder nipples.
that's what they get when you put them on hangers. And then,
That is awesome.
right?
We don't want the shoulder
We
nipples.
don't want shoulder nipples. And then if I put them, I mean, I guess I could hang them through the hanger, right? But then don't they get a crease down the middle?
I usually fold
When
my,
there's-
my sweaters and put them in
I don't have any
drawers.
drawer space to fold all those sweaters. So in
He's
case
been
we're
on
asking,
a sweater kick lately.
I'm on a sweater kick right now.
They look damn good on him, y'all.
I usually wear a button-up shirt and dress jacket to work. I got tired of doing that partly because when it gets cold and then you got to put a big coat on top of that, you just feel like, what's that little, you feel like that little kid in what was that movie?
Oh my gosh.
Christmas Story, right? Just the little kid walking around yeah. So I said, you know what? It's a lot easier if I just put a sweater on. So I got a bunch of sweaters. And I love them. They're comfortable, they're easy. I don't got to worry about getting them dry cleaned all the time,
Chef's
whatever
kiss.
else. But now I have like 10 sweaters. Literally right now, they're draped over a suitcase because I don't know where to put them.
Juliana has a tip. She's gonna text me later.
Okay, awesome.
Send
Thank
us
you very
the
much.
deets. She said there's a special way to hang them on hangers so they don't get nipples.
I don't want nipples and I don't want a crease either down the middle. It's like my pants. I fold my pants over, but I do it on the top end where the pockets are. So that the crease is actually, if there is a crease, it's in where my hips are at. So you can't tell that it's there.
Tricks of the trade.
Tricks of the trade. So, okay, that's what's going on with us.
And we're going to Lulu to buy you some.
We are going to
stuff
Lulu.
today.
What are we doing that for? What am I
What
getting?
did you want?
What did I want?
There was a reason we were going to Lulu.
Oh, okay, so I just got on a sweater kick, but it's getting warm now, so I need lighter sweaters or lighter, not button-ups, but something that I can wear to work that's still professional. And I don't want to just go get a bunch of polo shirts. I've worn so many polos in my life. I'm
Lulu
tired
is the
of polos.
go-to for this guy, y'all.
So we're going to go check out and see what they've got.
Bougie.
And I might need some new workout shorts.
Need?
Yeah.
Is that the appropriate term?
It absolutely is. It's either that or I can buy some chubbies.
What are those?
Chubbies? You know what chubbies are?
I know
The
what
super
a
short-
chubby is.
The super short, really colorful. They always have cool patterns or pictures and stuff like that, but the super short workout shorts.
Oh, you're gonna get some
I get some chubbies.
booty.
They're not booty shorts. They're just short for, they're like,
do a fashion
they're
show.
over the quad. They're over the higher than quad.
Oh, so you can
They're short shorts.
show your teardrops.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not mad at it.
They like come up to here.
We gotta do another little fashion show like we did when you bought suits and I got to look at all of them in the dressing room.
Oh, there you go. In the outside of area, not in the dressing room,
Right.
because you wouldn't be allowed
Right.
in the dressing room.
No, in the suit. Where did you go to get the suits?
Men's Warehouse.
Warehouse.
Yeah.
They have a whole like all the mirrors and the platforms so you can get fitted.
Yeah,
And
the guy
it
with
was-
the tape measure and the pins trying to stick you in the
It
butt.
was a fun adventure.
Ah, that's my booty. So, did you have any questions that your ladies asked this week or the last couple of weeks that you wanted to, maybe other people could benefit from your answers?
They were very specific questions the last
Like to the individual?
to the individual and to the new training program because we just started a new training program. So a lot of questions about adjustments, how and when to make adjustments, and specific questions about adjusting the training program and things like that. I also had multiple questions about binge eating, emotional eating, and things related to that, like habit change,
Okay.
which tomorrow's masterclass I am doing on emotional eating. I cannot believe in the last 3 years I've been doing masterclasses, I don't have a masterclass on emotional eating. So
You've got to have done
I mean,
one.
I'm sure I've
'Cause I
addressed
know-
the topic in many places, but I've never done an actual emotional eating topic titled that. So
We've done one. I'm like, I know we've had these conversations, so I know we've done it at least one.
I mean,
But for your
I
masterclass,
talk about it all the time,
Yeah.
but I don't have a specific masterclass. I can say, go watch this masterclass specifically about emotional eating.
or not.
Right. Well, I'll talk about that there. And I know I've talked about that on other videos.
Right,
But
right.
last week I talked about changing your relationship with food, healing your relationship with food. And so I definitely talked about emotional eating there, but I wanted
Sure.
to dive specifically into emotional eating, that specific statement and the when you are eating
What it's all about.
for the purpose of not being hungry, not about cravings, not about, all of those other things I've talked about, but specifically eating your emotions, or the term eating your emotions, emotional eating, specifically about that. So I'm going to dive deeply into that tomorrow night.
Okay. Okay. Is there one thing you want to say as a teaser?
Of course, and you
Go
know
for
what
it.
it is.
I know what it is. Go for it. It's a
I like
teaser.
to say that there's no such thing as emotional eating, because when you are eating for emotional reasons, you are eating to avoid your emotions. You're eating out of avoidance, procrastination, difficult emotions you don't want to feel. And so it's kind of a misnomer in my
Yeah.
opinion.
You don't eat, your emotions aren't making you eat a certain way. You're eating a certain way because you don't want to feel the emotion.
And so ultimately, oh my gosh, how perfect is this, y'all? One of the things, so if you didn't know, it's Lent. If you don't participate, observe Lent. It is a Lent for those of us who do. It started on Wednesday, Ash Wednesday, and it was not on my radar, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Ash Wednesday, and I was sick, and I was like, oh, I didn't go to church, and usually I go to church for Ash Wednesday, so I've been reflecting the last few days on what I'm going to do for Lent this year, and my whole transformation started because of a sacrifice I made to give up dairy for Lent in 2011, many moons ago. And it started this whole journey for me because I leaned into observing my body and observing the changes that I made when I gave up something that I thought I could never give up. And I did not do it for a diet reason or a health reason at all. It was a spiritual reason because I could not stick to diets back then. And I thought, well, I have a feeling, I know that dairy is holding me back in many ways. And so I sacrificed it religiously because I knew if I did that, then I would actually adhere to not eating it. I would be more mindful. And that's ultimately what the season of Lent is about. It's this doing something difficult that's not comfortable for me because of something greater than myself, and making myself be aware of it, essentially committing to awareness. And I say all of that because the concept of emotional eating, it will never be healed with a diet. And that was the concept I talked about last week of healing your relationship with food. Keto, carnivore are not going to heal your relationship with food magically. Although a lot of people come to it thinking it will magically solve the problem because they've been told you're not going to have any cravings. All of these struggles that you have will just disappear on keto and carnivore. And the truth is that's not how it works. If you don't deal with the real issue is still going to be there.
Yeah.
And so you may get temporary relief, but it's not going to just magically heal you if you don't lean into the things you need to deal with, i.e. emotional eating, relationship with food, habits, thoughts, processes, beliefs that you have, right? So, babe, one of the things I committed to during Lent is leaning into prayer, scripture, going back to church, going back to Mass regularly, spending that time with God in the morning I consider time with myself, time with God, God is within me, all of that. So it keeps getting pushed to the wayside every time I get into a season with work or things that I'm passionate about that I dive into in the morning, and then next thing I know, the day has gone by and I didn't spend that time, and it's absolutely necessary.
As long as I've known you, you've always tried to maintain a practice of starting your day with something.
And he can tell when I don't. He can tell that something's off within me, and he will point it out to me. Have you meditated today? So all that to say, this morning I put on, today's the first Sunday of Lent, and I grew up Catholic. So for me, my faith is Catholicism, and that's where I find God. So I decided I was going to put on the homily from one of my favorite priests this morning, Father Mike Schmitz. I love the way he breaks down scripture and the way he breaks down the Mass and the traditions and all of that. And he makes it real. He's just one of those really good, priests with the way he speaks. So he said something today that I say all the time. And I was like, oh, this was for me. The only way out is through. And he talked about the sacrifice that we make, the things that we choose to do in Lent. It shouldn't be comfortable for you.
God.
It shouldn't be, well, I'll just do what I did last year. Or, well, I've been wanting to go on a diet anyway, so I'm going to give up this food or this thing. If it's not challenging you, he talked about it as the desert. You need to go into the desert. You need to do something that's not comfortable for you, that's challenging for you. If it's comfortable, you're not going to change. And his sermon was amazing. He was talking about how the Israelites going through the desert complained and wanted to go back into slavery because they felt comfortable there. They knew where their next meal was coming from. They were enslaved and they would rather have that because it was certain. Familiarity, certainty looks like security, looks like comfort. But it's not, it looks like safety, but it's not safe. We're literally being tortured. And yet we want that more than we want to go through the difficulty of what freedom requires. And I just freaking loved this analogy because it relates to your health journey.
Yeah.
If you stay in comfort, you are staying enslaved. And that's what a lot of you are doing with your relationship with food. You are enslaved to these foods that you worship because it's familiar and it's comfortable and it's not requiring more of you.
Here's a mindset thing, and this, we're not answering questions right now. We're kind of, she's going on a rant, but I'm going to throw my 2 cents into it. Why would anybody, why would you, if you're struggling with, oh my God, this is so hard, and it's a challenge to keep going, and you don't know if you can do it, and it's just a struggle. Every day feels like a struggle. I'll tell you right now, in my experience, 99% of that struggle is because you have not accepted the fact that it's supposed to be hard.
Yes.
It's not, if it was easy, then what would the point be?
And there would be nothing to change.
Right.
You'd already be doing it.
Here's the question to ask. Here's the question I want to get to. Why do you think it should be easier than it is? What is the expectation? What is the thought process going on in your head when you're like, this is so hard. Why is this such a challenge? I can't do this. Like, why would you think? What is making you think that it should be easier than it actually is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you think going to college, if you went to college, was going to be a walk in the park? Or did you expect this is going to be hard? Hopefully I'm going to make it through. And then you make it through. Did you think going into a new job is just going to be cake? You're going to walk in and just be the star employee the next day? Right? Did you think having kids was going to be something super cool and easy? Oh, great, I got kids. I've always wanted kids. It's been a dream of mine. And then you realize, holy crap, this sucks. Because it does suck being a parent sometimes. It's amazing. It's awesome. I would never give it up. But there are times where you're like, take these kids back. And if you're a parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Right? But there's no expectation that it should be easy in any of those scenarios. So why does changing 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years of life habits, why do you expect that to be easy? And why are you getting frustrated with it? Because it's not.
Oh my gosh. This also relates directly. Another thing he used is another thing I saw recently and chatted with my ladies about that I shared with you. Dr. Becky, she was talking about the learning space between knowing,
I think you showed me that. I did. Yeah, you showed me that.
Between not knowing and knowing, she said the emotion that you're going to feel in that space that she calls the learning space. And Father Mike Schmitz called it the training space. He said Lent is a period of training. It is a time where you are going to be frustrated. And she talked about that. She talked about, we all want to get from not knowing to knowing immediately. because that period in between is frustrating, wanting to know but not knowing, wanting it to be easy but it's not easy, right? The concept is it's not about how do I make this easier or how do I get there faster. It's about how long can I endure in the learning space. How long can I endure this period of frustration? The simple fact that you are feeling frustrated means that you are growing. You do not grow and you do not learn without that emotion of frustration. So when you get frustrated, what she said was think about it as this means I'm learning something.
Well, it also means if you're frustrated, it also means that what you're doing is important. Because if it wasn't important, you wouldn't care.
Yes.
Right? I tell people at work all the time, we all work with different types of people. There are people at work that we get into, I wouldn't say arguments, but we get into animated discussions about certain topics that we were working on things at work. And then there's other people who you can barely get a word out of them in those conversations because they just don't care. I would much rather have an animated conversation with someone who's passionate about what they're doing than try to draw something out of somebody who didn't give a crap. Right? I'd rather risk the potential for a disagreement or an argument or somebody not liking me because we're both passionate about what we're doing and acknowledge that we're both trying to just do our jobs than apathy.
Apathy
right?
and complacency.
So if you're frustrated,
breeds mediocrity.
That's good.
Yes.
That's a reminder. I'm getting frustrated. That means I still want it.
And here's a tip. Here's something that Father Mike Schmidt left with, the lesson or the action, right? The call to action. If you if you want to achieve something, get better at something, learn something, desire something, enjoy something, right? Part of what he was relating it to those who do not have belief who wanted to have belief. Like he gave an example of a non-believer. He said, I want to believe. How do I get there? And the action to take was look at those who have achieved that, who went from unbelief to belief. What do they do? And do what they do. So take the action. This is something we say all the time, right? Take the actions that lead to what you desire, and eventually you will desire that thing.
Yeah.
So perfect example is training. Going to the gym, exercising. You're like, I don't enjoy it. I know I need it. I know it's good for me, but I don't want to do it. It's not something I enjoy doing, right? What do people who are fit do? They train, they exercise regularly, consistently. So if you ever want to enjoy it and get good at it, do it. Do it. All of my ladies who did not like it at first, they eventually get to the other side of that to where it's a part of their life and they couldn't imagine their life without it.
Yeah.
And they actually start enjoying at least parts of it, if not all of it.
Did you show me or did I show you the meme that was about you're not doing the wrong thing. You're just at the point in the journey where most people quit.
Yes, I posted it on Instagram the other day.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where a lot of people are. It's like, you're not doing the wrong thing. You're not on the wrong, like, you're just at the point where most people are like, screw this, I'm done.
Yep.
And that's the point. If you can endure that space,
it's all on the other side of that.
Then that's where it's all at.
That's what the only way out is through.
That is what it feels like as you're crossing out of your comfort zone. Now, sometimes the border of entering your comfort zone and getting out of your comfort zone is really big. And there's a lot of walking in between it that you got to do.
Yep. A lot of discomfort.
But that's what it takes.
Yep.
Right? There's something else that I was thinking.
Me too, and I just lost it.
I just lost it too. We're both airheads at the same time. Space shot. All right, do we have any questions? Have we gotten any questions? I know Juliana's been talking.
Drop some questions. She's been chatting more than asking.
Most people quit before the good stuff happens. My honey just put gas in my car without being asked. He does love me.
This is pinching me.
Okay, so Juliana makes a good point. Other people make it look hard,
Easy.
but easy.
She meant to say easy.
But remember, Facebook and Instagram are the highlight reel. Real life is the bloopers. It's messy.
I think that gets to the crux of why you think it should be easy, because somebody made it look easy or sound easy. And that's why a lot of people think keto carnivore is just going to make it easy.
Right.
It's going to take all the difficulty away, you know? And it's like, it's the same reason why people are attracted to GLP-1 drugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the easy button? Looking for the easy button. But that's where you get quick results that you can't keep.
Right.
Because you didn't learn to overcome the difficult things.
Think about it this way, guys. Would you rather would you rather hire any tradesperson for anything in your house or home or work or business or car or whatever that studied a book online and took a test to get a certification and license that said they were licensed in X, Y, or Z, or somebody who has worked for 20 years in the field, whether they have a certification or not? Right? The experience and the process of learning and working and doing the things over time is what makes a good tradesman, not the license or the certification. Would you rather have a coach that you're working with, or listen to somebody online, which this is a whole nother conversation, who's not done anything? And I'm seeing this right now, actually. I broke down and started accepting more friends requests or liking, following back on Instagram, more carnivore accounts that have been started following me. Mm-hmm. Guys, I cannot even tell you how many carnivore influencers there are out there right now.
Oh.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
That I'm getting, they're following me, and I follow back, and it's like, where did all these freaking people come from? Right? And all of them are, I started 3 months ago. I started 6 months ago. Yeah. I started this week. Like, it's like, but now they're influencers, and many of them were influencers for something else.
Right.
Already have a following of tens of thousands or more people, and then decided they're going to try this, and then realized it was getting a whole bunch of engagement, and then they just changed their whole account to that. Yep. They have no idea what they're doing.
It's just like everything
no
before
idea.
that.
But we're watching that. People are watching that and listening to it, thinking that's how it is.
The keto influencers of 5-10 years ago, right? It's same idea. It's watch me do keto. Watch me lose this weight. Watch me, do this with me. Here's my journey. And that's all it is their journey, and they're not there yet. They haven't even achieved success yet.
And it's not wrong. We're not saying that's a bad thing. That's a good thing in many ways. It's exposure. It's getting people to talk about it. It's making the topic relevant. On the flip side of it, though, when we're talking about your journey and the struggle and the work that you have to do, you have to look at it from that perspective. They haven't done the work. Why is anybody taking their advice?
Right.
Right? I know I wouldn't. If I was getting started and someone said, hey, you got Sean Baker, or you got, I just went carnivore, follow me at Instagram.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to go the other direction. You know what I'm saying? And for your own life and the decisions you're making, you should want to be the Sean Baker of your own life. Ooh, right? You should want to be that experienced person who's been through the muck, because then you know that it's worth what you put into it. That's that little soapbox. I didn't mean to go there, but that's kind of where it went. So, okay.
Okay, you know what? Didn't you have you did have a question.
So, it was something I mentioned it earlier. Somebody in one of the groups that I'm in was asking about carb cycling for weight loss.
Okay.
They did not give, as always, a lot of context.
Should I do this? With no information?
Interestingly, it was actually a coach. It was in a coaching. It was in a coaching
okay.
forum where it's actually clinicians, doctors, coaches.
So what was the question?
Here, let me see if I can pull it up. Actually, I'll pull up the exact question.
Ironically, that is what Coach Mary Grace and I are going to be chatting about on Tuesday, is doing some
really?
carb cycling for her at this stage. Oh, wow. Oh, I want to check that out.
It's a talk.
Oh, y'all, this is what does it say?
March 10th.
What's the
Monday,
question?
Can the carnivore diet heal eating disorders?
I definitely
Is
want to check
this,
that out.
is this going to be, is this a members only thing?
March 12th, Monday.
March 12th, 5 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, March 10th.
March 10th, yeah. It's South Africa, because they're based out of
5
South
a.m.
Africa.
Eastern. Well, if you can get the replay and share that with me.
Could eliminating plant foods and embracing an all-meat diet restore a healthy relationship with food? Why are traditional recovery models failing so many? Is it time to rethink everything we thought we knew about eating disorders?
Who do they have on there? Do they have?
Amanda Chi, Tamsin Murphy, Kelsey Buckhalter, and Crystal Anastas. These are all MHP and Nutrition Network.
Okay. People. Okay, that's why I was thinking of
and most of them were based in South Africa.
Ah, okay. Well, I'd definitely be interested in that chat.
All right.
I mean, can it heal it alone? No.
No. It can. It will be. It's a great.
But it is a
complement.
powerful complementary therapy. I would call it.
Oh, I forgot. Okay, there was something specific.
Carb cycling for weight loss. Okay.
Carb cycling for weight loss. I was just wondering what people's thoughts were on the efficacy of carb cycling to enhance weight loss in the context of people who have chronic fatigue syndrome.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So the idea being that if we're still considering carbs to be a primary source of energy, then maybe introducing carbs every once in a while, even if you're ketogenic, will help with your energy.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
So that was basically the question. And basically, here, want to read my response?
Yes.
So I'll answer the question so you guys know here's my response. If I can do this without sounding too technical. Here's my question. The initial was asking a question of the poster. Are the mechanisms of chronic fatigue understood enough to correlate the impact on those mechanisms by carb or fat oxidation? Basically saying, do we know enough about chronic fatigue to know if adding carbs is going to even make a difference, right? Or increasing fat or not having fat, whatever it may be. From a metabolic efficiency and flexibility perspective, ready for this, guys? Here's the key. The more consistent a person can be with minimal carb intake, the more metabolically efficient and flexible they become. I have found little evidence that the essentiality of carbohydrate intake is scenario dependent. I.e.,
in English,
if carbs are not essential, then there's no reason to say that carbs are essential.
Okay.
You can't say we don't need carbs except for.
Yep.
Either we need them or we don't. Okay? And when I say carbs, I mean external, exogenous, eating them, right? We do need glucose. And we can maybe talk about that, the difference between the two.
Yep.
The body produces glucose when it needs it, and that process is improved by being fat adapted. As long as adequate nutrient intake, electrolytes and hydration balance, and consistent nutrition practices are maintained, I don't see a reason for carb cycling.
Okay.
Right?
So what is
she said, thanks for your response. That's pretty much what everybody else seems to be saying.
She said the thought is that carb cycling does not seem to be effective for chronic fatigue syndrome.
Or in general.
Or for weight loss in the context of chronic fatigue syndrome.
Chronic fatigue, right.
So, and here's my thoughts. My initial thoughts on it would be context dependent on where the person's coming from. If a person is in the midst of consuming a high carbohydrate standard American diet, carb cycling can be amazing for them. Why? Because it's a step towards consistent low carb intake. So if you've never done low carb, if you've never done keto, if you've never done carnivore,
as a way to step
I would
down.
say, right. I would say you could start with carb cycling. The main reason, I was just thinking about this the other day, as it relates to Mary Grace. Now, granted, she's not in a weight loss goal. We're talking about the opposite. But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, well, she doesn't have any chronic diseases or inflammation
Remind me of another
issues.
question.
She's been eating low carb, ketogenic carnivore for a very long time. She's very healthy metabolically. One of the reasons why somebody might carb cycle in her situation is that there's carbs that you enjoy eating and you want to.
Say that again.
There's carbs you enjoy eating and you want to eat them.
Guys, there is absolutely nothing wrong if you decide that you want to include a carb in your life because it's something that you like, and it will help you maintain and sustain the other 95% of what you're doing.
And also,
there is a lifestyle sustainability aspect. Preference is a variable in the equation.
And alongside all of the other variables, like, am I metabolically healthy? Am I at my ideal body composition?
Am I still making progress?
Am I fit? Am I healthy? Am I all these things, right? It all works together. If that person with chronic fatigue syndrome and trying to lose weight is obviously overweight, in other words, over fat, right? Needs to lose body fat, likely has some other things going on, likely has some insulin resistance. That's a different situation, right? Whereas, and then with Mary Grace, for example, she's like, I don't think I would enjoy eating a higher amount of carbs on a consistent basis. So I'd like to try carb cycling because I really like the way I feel carnivore, but I'd like to have some sweet potatoes from time to time.
Or chocolate peanut butter ice cream.
In Bronson's case. Or for me, cooked carrots, roasted carrots.
How weird is that?
So
your
weird.
treat is cooked carrots.
I know. I just love those damn
I mean,
roasted
granted,
carrots.
most of the time, like if I'm getting a treat, like bacon is a treat for me. That's like,
Yeah.
I haven't done enough bacon. I'm making bacon today, by the way, but yes.
So all that to say, like, why carb cycling as opposed to just bringing your carbs up? Well, because if you function really well on carnivore, you know how good you feel eating that way. And I've tried bringing my carbs up consistently, and I didn't feel good doing that on a day-to-day basis. But once a week, once every couple weeks, having the allowance for it, I like that much better. And that is what carb cycling essentially is.
Balanced with whether you're making progress or not.
Yes, right.
Every decision that you make, carb cycling, fasting, intermittent fasting, supplements, more sleep, red light, every decision that you make along the way, guys, has to be weighed on whether it's helping you or hurting you from getting where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Right?
And that question
everything is on the table as long as it's helping you move forward.
That question is essentially, okay, we're talking about somebody with fatigue, low energy, right? So where are they getting their energy from?
Right.
Right. And so if you are standard American diet, you can start with a carb cycling approach, mainly because you're probably pretty attached to your carbs.
Yeah.
And so just going cold turkey on something,
It's going to make everything worse.
right. Yeah. And likely will cause more stress in your body.
It'll be harder to maintain, right? Sustain.
Right.
That's another aspect, right? Smaller changes are easier to sustain.
Yeah, because we are not in a lab setting, y'all. We are human beings with whole 360-degree lives.
Which
we have to consider all of it.
Which throws in another aspect on this question. Let's keep using this question. Specifically for chronic fatigue. What if the solution has nothing to do with the nutrition? What if the solution is stop working 80 hours a week, stop bringing your work home, start getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, stop working out 5 days a week? What if there's other things that are going on that have nothing to do with nutrition?
Yeah. And
we keep focusing on nutrition and we stop looking at our lives.
Yes.
If we want to improve our quality of life, We have to look at all of the aspects of our life. We can't just look at nutrition and when nutrition doesn't work, say that we're stuck. We're not going to, we can't, no, it doesn't work that way. There's a lot more going on, guys. Okay, there's a lot more going on.
Yep.
Jonathan says he's got CFS.
Yep. He said it's not in remission, but carnivore has significantly
And it will,
improved.
right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. When you're, whether it's chronic fatigue and syndromes, right? They're given that name because there's no diagnosis. It's essentially
The mechanisms
it's
are
a
not
name
defined.
for the symptoms, right? Much like IBS, right? So
Versus IBD.
right. So all that to say, also, when you're fatigued, and fatigue is a symptom of a lot of different things. So it's very difficult when that's your main symptom to identify really what's going on with you medically. But a lot of the time when you have that low energy, you don't feel like moving, right? So what happens for a lot of people? They get in this loop of I'm sedentary and I have no energy
Yeah.
and I don't want to move. So I move less and I have less energy and it feeds on that. I've been through this many times myself. When you start moving first, like what we were talking about earlier, take the action toward the thing you want, you will be shocked at the improvement in your energy from moving.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy to work out. I guarantee you if you work out anyway, because the only time I see this as a negative is when somebody is actually overtraining, and most people are not overtraining.
Yeah. We're going to dig. What she just said is very important, and I want everyone to understand. The motivation you have for doing the things that you need to do isn't always about the decision to do it in that moment. You may not want to do it. The motivation that you have for doing what you need to do is the decision to do it even when you don't want to. Being motivated, having a why that makes you cry, having that emotional, visceral connection to the thing that you want at the end isn't about making you want to do the thing. I don't want to go to the gym sometimes. And when I get in the car and I drive, I still am not happy about it. But I'm doing it because I know that's what I need to do to get where I want to go. The motivation is what gets you to do things when you don't want to do them. Okay? So motivation is what I want is bigger than what's in front of me right now.
Yep.
That's what your motivation is. That's what your why is. Okay? Your why is I've got this thing, I've got this cake in front of me that I know I shouldn't have. My motivation is bigger. My why is bigger than what's in front of me right now. I've already made the decision that this cake in my mouth are not to be connected.
It's not worth it.
It's
right.
not worth it.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
It doesn't mean that magically everything that you need to do is going to be fun and happy.
Most of the time it's the exact
Being motivated, having commitment, being dedicated and consistent is not about enjoying it all the time.
We talked about
It's the same
we made
thing.
the analogy with work. Are you
Right.
Are you happy and excited and motivated to go to work every single day of your life? No, you want the damn paycheck that comes on the other side of it.
Right. And it's the same thing that we talked about at the beginning, right? What makes you think that the process should be easy?
Yes.
What makes you think that you should enjoy every aspect of it?
Yep.
Just because we take a picture after our workouts and we're like, whoo, doesn't mean we started that way.
A lot of the time I sit in my car and contemplate life for a while
Right?
before I go in.
But here's the thing, to what you were saying, when you went in, you didn't want to be there. But by the time you're done, you're like, hey guys,
so
great
glad I
workout
did it.
today. Pump.
Nobody ever regrets it afterwards.
No. So just, yeah. I had something that had popped up and now it just left. It was a question that someone else had asked somewhere. And you were talking and it was like, ooh, that's something that I want to bring up and now I lost it.
Well, hopefully it'll come back to you.
We need to get like a pad and start like
Writing
writing
it
notes
down?
while we're talking.
So I have something that I pulled
This will be the
out.
last thing because we're almost at an
I
hour.
read between the lines of something in check-ins this week, and then I went on a bit of a rant in my feedback video.
Oh no.
So I'll go on a little bit of a rant again. But the question was about adjusting macros. And it was, hey, I've lost weight since we set these macros, and I haven't been hitting my protein. And I weigh less now. So should I adjust my protein downward? What would you say to that? If somebody started out at 140 pounds and they were eating 140 grams of protein, that was their target macro, so their minimum for protein, and then lost about 10 pounds, they're now 130 pounds, and they haven't been able to hit their 140 grams.
Okay.
Should they now reduce their protein?
So my question, two questions. Are they still trying to lose? What's the end goal? Number one. And number
Yes,
two,
they're still in a cut.
why aren't they hitting their protein?
Figured we'd be here. So I was like, okay, I can answer the question and say, all right, literally, if we're just talking about the macros, there would be no detriment to dropping protein by 10 grams and still eating your body weight in protein. But I had to pull out the question in between the lines.
Are you asking for permission to not do what you know you should be doing?
But here's the real piece that is the bigger danger. We do not let our limitations determine the plan.
Say that again. Say it 3 times.
We do not allow our limitations to determine our plans.
Can I say that another way? One of the biggest challenges we have as coaches is working with people who are fighting for their limitations.
If you fight for your limitations,
They're arguing
you get to
with
keep
us
them.
or themselves about why they can't do something because in their head they have a limitation. They may not recognize it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
They're the fleas in the they're the fleas in the jar, and they're only jumping so high because that's all they've ever been able to do because they've never tried to jump outside the jar.
Well, and in this case in particular, it's okay, you were hitting your protein and now you're not.
So what happened?
So the question is, why are you not hitting your protein now? Exactly what he was saying is, instead of asking, can I change this thing to make it easier for me to do?
There's the
because
keyword.
I'm not
There's the
doing
keyword.
it.
Easier for me.
That's the question that wasn't asked.
Right.
Hey, I'm not achieving my goal. I'm not hitting my target. Right. Can I change the target to make it easier because I don't want to have to stretch or challenge myself to hit it?
You know what that's like?
And the answer to that is no. We don't want to say, hey, since I'm not doing this, can I change the plan because I have a limitation?
Yep. You're a salesperson and you go to your boss and say, hey, I don't think I'm going to hit my quota this month.
Can we drop my quota?
Percentage? I know I was supposed to get 20%, but I'm feeling like I maybe go for 10 this month. What do you think about that? Do you think you have a job much longer?
Whew.
Right? If you're a project manager and you go to your boss, you're like, hey, I know we said we were going to finish in January, but I'm thinking maybe July. What do you think about that? Just because I don't feel like pushing the guys that hard. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get this document done, whatever. Can we just add 6 months or 7 months to the plan?
Woo.
That should be good, right?
That's it. You're trying to take a step back.
You can't change the standards of performance just because it's hard to reach them.
Ooh. The question should be what has changed to where I'm not showing up the way I was showing up before. I'm not hitting my targets. Why am I not hitting my targets? Can I change the goal because I'm not achieving?
This kind of goes into that mindset of what we talk about as an employee, but also this goes into your athlete mindset.
Yeah.
Right? You don't see a football player saying, hey, you think we could make a first down only 7 yards now instead of 10? That'd be a lot easier for us to get. Like, you don't change the rules of the game just so it makes it easier.
My best mentor in my former career, she was hard to work for, y'all. She expected excellence, but she made me so damn good at my job. I'll never, ever forget something she said. it was as it related to serving clients, let's call it, right? Serving our client or our customer. And I was asking if we could do something a certain way. And she said, are you asking because it will be easier for us or because it will be better for them? Is this solution you're proposing to make it easier for us or to make it better for our client? And that has stuck with me ever since.
It's a great question. Yeah.
If I'm asking, if I go into business and I go into the Keto Bikini Academy and I'm like, hey, it sure would be easier if I just never changed the training program. So why don't I just set the training program for the whole year and never change it? And then just say, all right, ladies, this is what we're doing for 2025. Mm-hmm. You don't get new workouts. We don't change anything. Would that be better for them or just easier for me? Easy answer there.
Right.
So
is the decision you're making,
it easier,
right,
seek to get better at it.
If the motivation is to make it easy or faster and not how do I get to my goal and keep it, then you have an answer. You already know what the answer is. And you don't need to ask your coach.
You already
Should
know.
I do this? What do you think about this? Anytime we get that question, what do you think about this? We already know what's going on.
And on the practical side of that question, as it relates to the macros, let me just tell you this. In a cut, when you are seeking to lose body fat,
protein's the last thing.
You're never going to cut your protein.
Last thing you want to cut.
That's not what we're doing. The deeper you go into a deficit, if anything, we're going to increase your protein, not drop it. So.
All right. Well, we didn't have nobody asked any questions.
Shout out to FMG Shows Mexico, who joined.
Nobody had any questions.
I know.
FMG Shows Mexico, do you have any questions? Do you know who runs that account? Is that JJ?
It's JJ.
Is that JJ? JJ, ask us a question. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining. On my side, on the YouTube side, we've been on for an hour. On your side, it's only been 45 minutes.
That's cool.
Because you started late, or I started early.
You started early, I started late.
And you started late.
5 minutes on each side.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully next week we'll actually have a specific topic, but it's always great talking to you guys. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you soon.
Wait.
Oh, what?
In 2 weeks, we could do
we'll be in Arizona.
We could do a special one from Arizona, maybe, if we have time. If we're not hiking.
We could do
We might be hiking.
We got to figure that out. We might be on, not next week, the week after.
2 weeks from now.
There may be a break. We'll see how it goes.
March 22nd,
22nd
and
to
23rd.
23rd. Yeah.
Arizona Low Carb Collaborative. Check it out on Eventbrite.
Low carb events as well. Low carb events. Is it .com or .org?
.com, I
.com.
think.
Okay. See you guys.
Bye.